Of doing investor decks and telling our story the same way that we have been for almost 3 years now. So I thought I'd try a new approach, and it's very wordy, but it's a different way of telling our story. So how cool is Chicago? So how cool is it that we can order a pair of shoes from Sears? And I know you all shop at Sears for your shoes. With nothing more than an image and a description, and you can have them delivered to your door within just a few days, without ever leaving your house. In 1888. True story. So this is when Sears catalog was actually able to do this, okay? And it's a really crazy thing because it was this mix of vision and sweat, moxie, that not only enabled Sears to pull that sort of transaction off, the sort of transaction that still challenges retailers and manufacturers today, but it's that same combination that spawned a city that enabled industry for an entire nation. It's a really, really cool history of Chicago and what they did back in the mid-1800s. So for the last 165 years, Chicago has been the center of commerce, making cool things possible. So what does ShotFarm do? So if we were to modernize that shoe example from the first slide, so where there were illustrations or illustrators and plate makers, they're now digital images. And where there were notepads and typesetters, we now have spreadsheets, and where there were catalogs, we now have tablets. And where there were a few thousand, there are now nearly 5 billion product images and descriptions that need to get from 87,000 manufacturers to 430,000 retailers before these products can be sold online. So if you think about that a little bit, it's a really daunting task that the retail industry takes on every year. So before ShotFarm, this is no exaggeration, there were as many processes of transferring those assets, of reformatting those assets, requesting those assets, as there were trade partnerships. So if I'm a retailer and all of you are my suppliers, I have a different way of communicating with each one of you. I have a different way of receiving those product images from each one of you. And they're all different. You all name them different. They're all different sizes, and you call them different things. So I have to figure all of that out, and I have to do all of that before I can sell anything online. Okay. The cost of this particular inefficiency was estimated right before we started business by the NRM, National Retail Federation, Forrester Research, in excess of $5 billion. So in June 2010, ShotFarm launched a platform that, by centralizing this process, promised to reduce the inefficiency and time to market by up to 85%. So essentially, we turned this mess into something really clean and cool like that. It's very logical, and you know, it's trouble recognizing the smarts of what we did, because it just seemed like, yeah, like there's no other way to do it. So, but nobody had done it yet. So for the past 36 months, ShotFarm has fulfilled that promise to more than 3,600 retailers and 4,300 brands, and a number that continues to double every year. That's a lot of companies that we serve. So ShotFarm is right at home in Chicago, at the center of commerce. We're solving very, very big problems, and we're making cool things possible. So, as I mentioned, we do think that's pretty cool. So the next time you click on a pair of fuzzy warm slippers, you zoom in on the image, you spin the image around maybe, and you click on them and you buy them and they're on your feet in 48 hours. Think of Chicago, but also think of ShotFarm, because we probably made that happen.